Alright, welcome back to Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic Lesson Known Classics. This is episode number 32, 98, Doubleshot number 3192. So with this one, we're discussing two Star Wars trades, the age of this particular era. First one is basically Age of Rebellion. All these one-shots, except for the special, was written by Greg Pak. The special was got three stories: A Long Game, which is by Cy Spear, Trial of Dagobah, this actually is a Yoda story written by Guggenheim, and Stolen written by John Adams. The Princess Leia one, there's one for Princess Leia, Grand Moff Tarkin, Han Solo, Boba Fett, Lando Calrissian, Jabba the Hutt, Luke Skywalker, and Darth Vader. Pretty much in the case of like a lot of these ones, well, in the case of Princess Leia, this is, from the look of it, it seems like this one is set after Empire Strikes Back, but before the events, I would say just before the events of Return of the Jedi. Because you have her and Chewbacca, basically, and of course you have Lando, where we also get debut of her disguise, chronologically. And of course we do see Bossk. Probably the first time chronologically people see him since, like, I think, like, War of Bounty Hunter at this point. Yeah. So, mostly put, it just laid in the plan to go to Jabba's palace, and the comic ends with her going straight to this is basically leading directly into her appearance in the Return of the Jedi movie. Please do not have the power growth. So next is basically Grand Moff Tarkin. First major comic book I could think of featuring him. So this one mostly put is, well, it's all about, basically for this one, it's about even though he's the main character here, it's him basically berating the people who fire the guns on the Death Star. So it starts off just after the events of Rogue One, and then ends, because it kind of goes another point in time, jumps a hill later, where basically it's set during the events of A New Hope. And the Gunners in that particular, so he berates him, of course. He thinks they're doing the job properly, so what does he do with these Gunners? He proceeds to eject them to space. Just cuz. The Han Solo one-shot. This one in particular is set clearly after the events of New Hope, given Luke's jacket here, and the fact he wore that in the previous volume, not the most recent volume for Star Wars, but the one that started back in 2015. That's where he wore this jacket from. So this is set clearly after New Hope, and mostly puts people think, oh, he's part of the rebellion. This movie, he denies it, and eventually agrees, yeah, he's part of the rebellion. That's kind of the gist of the story here, but that's where it's set. Boba Fett, meanwhile, this is another one set before the events of Empire Strikes Back. It is mostly put, now there's no mention of him having Han Solo in his possession, so this is clearly set before Empire Strikes Back. It's basically him on a plane at the whole story. But love how basically artist draws Boba Fett's armor, which I think is so cool. Next up is Lando Calrissian, and this one basically is like clearly set before the events of Empire Strikes Back. My guess is I think this is set after his miniseries, his very first by Charles Scholl, and mostly put, basically, he does pay his miners because he's very administrator of this particular facility, the Baspin City, and most of him becoming, like, getting more money because basically he needs to pay his workers because they buy all this gas. He needs to give some of their planet, but, and that's for Jabba the Hutt. Meanwhile, this one, this is interesting because we start off in a place that did not make its appearance in the original movies. Nope, the casino Canto Bright. A casino that made its debut in The Last Jedi, a movie of the sequel trilogy people actually despise. So, this, well, my guess is he clearly doesn't have Han Solo possession, so this is, I'm guessing after A New Hope, but I'm based upon his appearance here. Yeah. The appearance, the way he looks here, that's clearly based upon A New Hope. Like, just after New Hope, given the fact that Well, here's the thing. Here's the story related to his appearance in New Hope. You see, he was not originally featured in the movie. Well, not in the original release per se. He was featured in a deleted scene, and then George Lucas put that in. And here's the thing: Jabba was originally human. Originally. And the only reason why he is a slug instead of being a human. Now, if you ever see the original, I've seen the original scene where this happened, because if you notice in the special cut movie where they threw in Jabba the Hutt in, of course they made him a little more darker in the second edition of the special cut. We have Han stepping on his tail. The reason why they had the whole tail thing thrown in was because in the original scene, Han walks behind Jabba. So they have him step on his tail. Clearly something he didn't do in the original cut, but that was something Lucas added. And that's where I place this. It's basically him making agreement with some Tusken Raiders with a bounty and of course some stormtroopers here. So clearly evidence of A New Hope. And then we have a Luke Skywalker one-shot. This one in particular is set just before the events of New Hope because of the outfit Luke is wearing. Yes, it's not set after Return of the Jedi, but just before that, where he's training. And most put, basically, you have where Vader is clearly wondering where Luke is. And it's probably like an op panel adventure they has here. And then we have the Darth Vader one-shot. This one in particular is, I'm guessing this is because of the fact that he's not having a Star Destroyer. He apparently has got a new TIE Fighter here, something he did not have in movies at all. So here this is, because there's no grandma talking here, there's no mention of him, so this one here is clearly set probably at some point between New Hope and his appearance in the Star Wars book, where he's working with the governor until he eventually eliminates him, because it's all about learning a lesson. Probably because what happened with the Death Star. Eventually the Admiral is killed and he takes control of the thing. Now, there's a the Ancient Rebellion special. There's one for Yoda. That's the Dagobah. That's basically first around the planet. The long game is basically focused on IG-88. It's him having a short adventure with the Empire. Yep, and there's one with Yoda. Obviously, we first arrived on the planet just before. And then we have this focus on Porkins. Yes, Porkins. Yes, a character who was featured in a small role in New Hope before he was killed. So I'd say this one's set just before the events of New Hope. Yeah, and that's pretty much Age of Hope in a nutshell. Yeah. Great book overall. Give it roughly a 10 out of 10. Next up, basically, we have is a series of one-shots, with the exception of the special for these one-shots written by Tom Taylor. This will be, of course, Star Wars Age of Resistance. Yeah, it's basically all the new characters. Finn, Rey, Rose, Poe Dameron. There's even one for Hux, Kylo Ren, and Captain Phasma. So, the this other version special was Maz Kanata from the movie. Now, Tom Taylor has one shots here, exception of the entirety of the Resistance special. Jewels was the bridge. Rubber Resistance is done by Chris Epolis. So, Finn, this one in particular is set before, I would say not long before the events of Force Awakens, because you have him basically just be cleaning, and you try to use a mop as a weapon, though at one point the mop is like jumping on his shoulder. So then he goes out in the field, and he thinks on cleanup duty, but not really. It's just a short adventure before the events of Force Awakens. Captain Phasma, this is one of several one-shots feature her, because she featured a lot of these ones. This one, I'm guessing, based on his placement, this is set after her solo novel that she had. Yes, believe it or not, she had a solo novel, what dealt with basically her day appearance. This one in particular focuses on a student of hers trying to surpass her, and then Phasma later kills her because she didn't meet expectations. but it's clearly set before events of Force Awakens. Was it before the Finn one-shot? Could say around the same period of time. Next is Poe Dameron. This one is set not after the Poe Dameron series. Given his uniform, I'd say this is set before the events of the Poe Dameron series. Where this is like early days, of course, Alpha is blue, not orange like he is later on. So, him find a creature in space, but yeah, early days Resistance. The book ends with appearance by Summer Holdo, a woman who is in the Star Trek fandom considered to be one of the most despised characters. I mean, people hate this character. Not the actors. People don't hate the actress because this actress was featured in Jurassic Park. Okay, that's the thing about this one, is that she is completely randomly inserted in Last Jedi. Like, oh, she claims she was an old friend of Princess Leia. Her first chronological appearance was actually in the Princess Leia novel by Claudia Gray. That's the first time she ever appeared chronologically. She also appeared here in this one shot, and she also appeared in the Last Jedi movie, which her appearance movie was so despised. I don't think the actress got death threats for. I didn't hear anything about actually death threats, but people hated Holdo so much. Hux, meanwhile, it's basically him getting revenge on the guy who bullied him when he was younger, but also featuring, well, Kylo Ren. He's with Kylo Ren the whole one shot. At one point, he's on the planet stranded there, and they meet up with what appears to be an old rebel fighter who looks like he's dressed like he's, yeah. So he points out, oh yeah, this man is the son of Leia Organa, Princess Leia. Can't be. His parents won the war. Death Star destroyed segment. Another one? Yep. I knew his grandfather's mother. Who? Does it like her? Yeah, and this is a very interesting one-shot. And they also bring the fact that, because this was mentioned in the Captain Phasma novel, that Hux killed his father. Here, it's mentioned here too. So yeah, he does kill the guy. And then we have Rose Takeo, another character who from last... This is another character who doesn't get a lot of hate as much as, let's say, Holdo. Holdo gets a lot of hate. Rose... It's a bit unjustified. I mean, in the case of Rose, this is set clearly Force Awakens. It's her just to get recruited in the Resistance. Now, I don't hate the character Rose. I think she's fine, except that a lot of this stuff comes completely out of nowhere. It's just some leveler mechanic who basically just summons on Finn. And basically this leads into the events of Last Jedi, where eventually Rose's sister dies. And then we have Supreme Leader Snoke, another one-shot clearly set before Force Awakens. Like, a lot of these ones are set before Force Awakens. I mean, none of these ones, a lot of these other ones are not set before that one. There's one actually set during Force Awakens. This one is basically Snoke training Kylo Ren. This is Kylo's second appearance in these one-shots that he has of his own. He appears in like 3 of them. Phasma appears in, so far, 2-ish. So... It's basically, the whole thing is focused on Kylo Ren going to Dagobah, where he actually fights first his uncle, then his parents. Then he destroys the cave that basically first appeared in Empire Strikes Back, the same cave that tormented Luke. And after the cave is destroyed, it's like, no more, new era. Then you have the Rey one-shot, which begins when she's in the flashback in Resistance. And then we have set during the end of the movie, and then, like... And then we have a little adventure. Basically, we have this next part of the book. A lot of the book basically takes place between what we see here when she flies with Chewie and before she lands on the planet where Luke is. That's where this is one shot. It's actually the only one shot not... This is the first one shot of these ones not set before the events of Force Awakens. This is the only one not. This is set during Force Awakens. She goes on a little adventure, and then she eventually leads into basically the ending of the movie for Force Awakens. Next comes Kylo Ren in his third one-shot. This mostly put is a stormtrooper who basically tells glory stories of... Who basically works a lot... He wears like old armor. Despite the fact the first story has got brand new armor, he basically prefers the old armor better because he had such a long time. And it's mostly him working alongside Kylo, or remembering about Darth Vader. Oh, and also in the Snoke one-shot, he hates Kylo Ren's mask. He despises it. Something that does not really appear... Now, we see in Force Awakens, there's no mention of hating the mask. That is until Last Jedi comes out like, oh, now he hates the mask. Yeah. So, this is a really fun one-shot, and he basically works alongside the veteran. Then we have the Age of Republic special. First with Maz, where it's basically Maz with Han during... I'm guessing how young Han is. This is probably just after the events of Return of the Jedi. And then we have a Holdo story. Yes. Where this one is set during the time of... Probably well before the events of... what she calls of Captain Holdo. And then we have a Poe Dameron one-shot. The book is also focused on BB-8. And that's it. The one-shots here are pretty good. It's just that, well... Did I think Holdo need a one-shot here? Not really. Or at least a story for her. She did not need one. She was a character that... How did I feel about the character? Rose, I had no problem with. Holdo just feels like a forced character. It's like she was inserted in just to take off the audience. Yeah, but a lot of these one-shots are really good. Nothing terrible here. I think Tom Timson does an excellent job writing these one-shots. So, that's pretty much it for particular video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe to notifications. Next up, back to G-Bond. Okay, next video. Bye.